seem like it, but now, viewers, we're getting more visuals emerging from Venezuela's capital city, Caracas. The video shows explosions raining down as a man is driving down a road in the capital city. Please take a look. Please take a look at your screen. Look at those dramatic visuals. Viewers, very unfortunate there, like Major Muhammad Ali Shah was rightly mentioning.
Se prende en candela, weón.
Viene otro, viene otro, viene otro.
Mosca. Mosca. Dale, dale.
So we showed you those dramatic visuals, viewers, and now I want to go across to Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former Indian Air Force officer. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, another very important point here is that there's also a humanitarian aspect when it comes to these attacks that we were earlier discussing. This kind of muscle flexing, this trying to, have like an upper hand over smaller nations, be it Ukraine, be it, Venezuela now. What do you have to say for this kind of behavior that Trump is adopting?
If you actually look at it, this is Monroe Doctrine getting a 21st century reboot. That's what I see it as. And what it actually means is that this phrase does not essentially mean that the US is returning to the 19th century imperialistic policies or planning invasions across Latin America, or for that matter, even Venezuela for that matter. It means that the logic of the Monroe Doctrine has been reinterpreted for a new strategic era. The Monroe Doctrine originally meant, which was announced somewhere around 1823, if I remember it right, that the Western Hemisphere was a US sphere of interest. And European powers should not colonize or militarily interfere in that place. In return, the US promised that it would avoid European wars. It was about blocking the rivals from the great power footholds from the Western Hemisphere, which the US saw it its own backyard and territory, and they didn't want anybody else to get into it, and it certainly didn't want to micromanage its neighbors and spend its energy there. It kind of went informal after the Cold War, because after 1991, no peer competitions were seen in the hemisphere. Things were relatively stable. Globalization diluted the spheres of influence, and US relied more on economics than on coercion, because it was using the dollar to impose its hegemony, and the world just simply capitulated and succumbed to the pressures of the US currency itself. So, and the countries that didn't, it of course, through the NATO, it went and it interfered, and then we know what happened in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and places like that. What changed in the 2020s is two developments forced this kind of a rethink. Mainly, China's growing power and the way that it was entering into the Latin American market through the ports, through the telecoms, through the debt, to the energy and the surveillance tech that it was mounting on the US sitting in the Pacific, it was making it very uncomfortable. So this was something that the US has been strategizing for some time long now. Add to this Russian military advisors, intelligence cooperation, and there's a huge arms sale specifically to Venezuela, which has come from Russia. Now, this crossed a red psychological threshold in Washington. External great powers embedding near the US military again, that was a no-go for the US, and they had to send the right signal. They know that they are the global world leaders today, but if you give chance to countries like China, they will crawl back and snatch it from them, which they don't want. The moment they are going to get out of that number one position, the dollar is no longer going to be in hegemony, which means the energy market they control through the dollar will be out. That is precisely why Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein was targeted in the name of weapons of mass destruction, which they never found anything in their backyard. So it is a larger geopolitical game that they are into. And this particular attack is more about signaling to tell people to be in their shoes and not take America head on. It is also a sign, a signal to both China as well as to Russia to tell that if push comes to shove, they can do whatever they want. And they are not certainly afraid of pulling the trigger, which is what we have seen now. They have gone on and conducted raids inside even civilian areas as we can see it. And we wouldn't know as of now whether it was precision attack or targeted only at military infrastructure. So given this background and the reality that US is not able to dominate everywhere in the world, it wants to protect at least its part of the Western Hemisphere. So there is a small shift in the Monroe Doctrine, but they have preserved it, and they want to pretty much protect the Western Hemisphere in total. So Venezuela's role in this reboot is that it is not that it is a very objective case, it is more of a signal case, and it has got trapped, and they should have seen this coming, they should have got prepared better. If they really wanted to take on the hegemon, I think they went it with half measures, and that's why they are at the receiving end today.